Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome into lcpioneers.com live, presented by PioStream, keeping you connected with student athletes, coaches, different members of the Lewis and Clark College community, and our alumni 4 days a week, Tuesday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time on Facebook Live, and all of our past shows available to watch on demand at LC Pios on YouTube. Easiest place, just go to our website, click on the YouTube link, and you'll get there. I'm Ryan Goff. I'm the play-by-play voice and director of athletic communications for Lewis and Clark, the Pioneers out of Portland, Oregon, and a member of NCAA Division III, competing with over 430 institutions nationwide. A chance for student athletes to compete on a national stage as a member of the Northwest Conference. 9 institutions throughout Northwest Oregon and the state of Washington. 19 intercollegiate athletic programs competing just 6 miles southwest of downtown Portland, Oregon. We are excited to keep you connected with 2 more live shows this week, and in a few minutes we'll introduce you to our guest, head coach of the men's basketball program, Tim McCrory. We'll talk about what the fall has looked like for men's basketball. Right now, the Northwest Conference has suspended competition for both fall and early winter through January 1st, 2021, and more information available on our COVID-19 athletics website. You can go to lcpioneers.com/COVID for the latest information from the NCAA, the Northwest Conference, as well as Lewis and Clark College. There's a link to their COVID-19 page as well. So we'll have Coach McCrory in just a few moments. We invite you to get connected with the show. You can do so, comments and questions in our Facebook Live chat. You can also find us anytime, sports@lclark.edu, if you have any questions for upcoming guests or any suggestions for future guests. Of course, we are on Twitter and Instagram as well, LC Pioneers, our handle on both. In case you missed it last night, we had our encore presentation of the PioStream Watchback, a look back at the 2019 fall season for men's and women's cross country. So now that event is available to watch on demand, both on Facebook. Easiest place to go is lcpioneers.com/live. That takes you to the Facebook Live page, including our archives, or you can also watch it at youtube.com/lcpios. And we've done that now with 3 teams, volleyball and women's soccer prior, and we're looking forward to having more of those episodes in the near future. Our Pioneers of the Week continue to be updated. I've profiled both a women's rowing team member and a men's tennis team member. Most recently, you can go to lcpioneers.com and click on the Pioneers of the Week link to find out more about the student athletes and what they're currently working on. All that information available at lcpioneers.com, and our playlist has been updated on that website in addition to the YouTube page as well. So let's get to our guest today, the head coach entering his 3rd season as the leader of the men's basketball program at Lewis and Clark College. We're proud to welcome in Tim McCrory to the show. And Tim, second time we've had an opportunity to speak to you, but the first time we've had the chance to do so since fall semester began. So let's kind of catch up and see how things have been going for you and your team. Give us a glimpse inside what fall 2020 has been like for you.
Yeah, fall 20 has been different to say the least, but just focusing on just the great kind of community that we have on the basketball team, whether it's our coaches, Coach Pamela, Coach Randall, Coach Nate, Coach Archie, and Coach Miles. And then everything, our foundation is our players, our student athletes. And their approach to this season. I sat back a couple weeks ago and I watched them go through an individual workout and just their level of attention to detail, how hard every single member of our team is working. I just sat back and smiled, just in the middle of everything that's going on outside of the basketball court. We're our team's finding a way to focus for a couple hours a day, on the basketball court, and just really, and we're really enjoying each other, and just really appreciating the time that we have on the court, and most importantly, we're appreciating the community that we have on our team. So to answer your question, it's definitely been different, but I just love the way that our coaches and our teams handling definitely a different situation.
And you describe a lot of the things that your team has been doing that you have looked from kind of that 1,000-foot level and admired. And I'm curious, when you try to find positives that come out of adversity, have those been difficult to come by? Do some of those come surprisingly? Describe ways that maybe there's something that's happened over the course of the pandemic that now may become more of a mainstay of your program that never you would have thought of prior.
Yeah, that's just we don't have enough time on the interview for me to just sit back and be grateful for our coaches and be grateful for our players, but I can take a little time to highlight our seniors. Like I watch our seniors, our four seniors, with so much uncertainty, and just the way that they've handled this first semester. I just have so much respect for them, and they should be so proud of themselves. When I look at like a person like Daylon coming into a space that maybe isn't designed for him to be super successful. He finds a way, his senior year, having a 3.8 GPA. He's an art curator, a photographer, working with IME. He's in our leadership team. He's just doing an amazing work on our basketball team. He's doing amazing work in our community. And then Matt Brown, since birth, he's been successful. Just won Invent Oregon, Matt Brown. He's working with IME. He's working with student engagement, president of the Entrepreneurship Center. He was a residential advisor, just crushing it here on campus. And then Nick Lombardi too. He was on Ninja Warrior, two-time winner, our highest GPA on our team, a business owner, and just going to leave Lewis and Clark just really making his mark, doing great work. And then we have Brian, just the foundational piece of our program. To me, he's the player of the year in our conference, while also pursuing an economics degree, one of our leaders on our team. So, something that I really just admire and something that I really just paid attention to is just the great work that our seniors have done. And, I'm really, really grateful for what they're doing on a day-to-day basis.
Tim McCrory, our guest, the head coach of Lewis and Clark men's basketball on lcpioneers.com live. I mentioned entering third season, and I say that acknowledging that it's November, right? You'd be playing ordinarily by this stage, so it's not really entering as much as in it. But in the coaching life cycle, when you get to that third year as a head coach, if everything was not influenced by the pandemic, what would you hope that third season to look like? Kind of what are some of the things that shift between that second and third year as you're building a program?
Yeah, my third season, I just, every year I've just been really super fortunate that every year we just continue to improve. We were able to add another head coach on our coaching staff, Coach Pamela. We always call her the president of the program. She just does a great job behind the scenes, working with our team, also working within the community, working within the LC community. Coach Randall taking a huge step forward, Coach Nate, Coach Archie, Coach Miles. Just from that kind of circle, it's just been really tremendous. But most importantly, watching each of our students within our basketball program just, they kind of know who I am by now. Like I've been able to establish some trust with them over the course of 2 years. They can kind of look at also coach has been these actions over the course of 2 years. So for me, going into my third year, everything's just a little smoother because some folks in our program have been with me for 2 seasons. And then it's just little things like they know like our offensive principles, our defensive principles. They know how we travel. They know how we do things in our program. So it's been, every year just, I wouldn't say it gets easier. It's just, some of the foundational pieces are smoother.
Now, we announced your class on the website, the incoming class for 2020-21 in August, and that was almost 2 months ago at this point in terms of we released those on the 22nd, which I personally can't believe. But that said, we haven't had a really chance to introduce your new student athletes to the world. Describe this class of first-year students that you have coming in.
Yeah, I'm just in a grateful mood. I have been super impressed with our first year students. We have 2 students who came to us from prep school, and then 2 of our other incoming first year students. They came from winning programs, so their transition over to us it's just smooth. I mean, they kind of just found their way. Kind of just jumped into what we're doing, and they've just been crushing it since day one. So I'd say, like, if from a broader sense, I would describe this first year class as just a collection of leaders, and I'm super excited to see just to sit back and be a part of their development moving forward.
You gave us a glimpse inside some of the things that your student athletes are doing off the floor, and particularly you look at Daylon Floyd. We shared some photography of days on our Instagram. You can find the LC Pioneers on Instagram, and we plan to do that with a lot of our student athletes to kind of show the other side of what a Division III experience as a student athlete is like. When you see some of those accomplishments, you talked about Matt Brown and Nick Lombardi as well. You see them at the end of their 4 years with all of this other stuff that they've done. How much does that kind of show us a perfect example of what the Division III experience is like, and how there's a holistic approach to the outcomes from a Lewis and Clark?
Absolutely. I think in terms of our students, they they find a way to do the work. I mean, I look at a student like Nick Lombardi. I don't know how he finds the time in a day to accomplish what he accomplishes on a day-to-day basis. Whether when I receive a text message from Nick, or he tells me, "Hey, I'm doing this. Never misses. Even never he never has to miss a practice. Never misses lifting sessions and stuff like that. But he's able to kind of fit a ton of things in, and to watch somebody able to navigate their lives like that at such a young age, it's just special. I always, tell Nick, please don't forget about me when he's making, billions of dollars. So I say with Nick, whether it's Matt, Daylon, and, Brian, just as seniors in the middle of, so much uncertainty around us, I'd say that this experience, their environment, really has prepared them to kind of be able to adjust and pivot when circumstances change.
You're watching lcpioneers.com live, presented by PioStream. We're through Tuesday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time on Facebook Live. All of our past shows available on demand at youtube.com/lcpios. Talking to the head coach of men's basketball, Tim McCrory. We live in an NBA city. The Portland Trailblazers are here, and the calendar is all wacko in that regard too. We're gonna have a draft in a week from now. There's new Oregon jerseys that the team has. What's it like to be able to recruit to a place that has an NBA program? And then, of course, we got to get your NBA draft opinion. Who's coming to the Road City next?
Yeah, I love just being surrounded by I just the NBA, being surrounded by basketball. There's just great hoop people in the Portland community. And you really get to see that in the summertime when, professional athletes are, all over the city, different, open gyms, different workouts. It's just, you can, find great basketball in the city every day. So it's just a super, super great environment to definitely be a part of in the summer. And it's great. We have a great, ambassador for the city of Portland in terms of the basketball community with Damian Lillard. He's from, his background, and, he's like one of the top players in the NBA. So, it's pretty special to be able to just, be able to watch that on a day-to-day basis.
No prognostication. We're not going to pick the Blazers pick in the NBA draft. I mean, come on now.
Blazers, if, hopefully they pick someone from the University of Vermont. I think, if you get someone from the University of Vermont, you're in a good situation. But it seems like, the Sadiq Bey somewhere in there with the draft pick that they have.
What about University of Vermont alum Aaron Campbell? I mean, best jumper outside of the basketball programs at Lewis and Clark, I'm told.
Yeah, the only thing about Coach Campbell is that he doesn't pass the basketball. So, his teammates might not, be a fan of that.
Of course, and talk about the track and field head coach at Lewis and Clark. Tim, miss seeing you in person. I think if I'm glimpsing right, you're right next to my office, in fact, as you talk to me in the conference room. So miss seeing you around campus. Excited when everyone can be back outside of a pandemic, but appreciate all your efforts with your student athletes, with our community. Tim McCrory, thanks so much for joining us on lcpioneers.com live.
Absolutely. You have a great one.
Head coach Tim McCrory on the show. He is an absolute gem to have on our staff at Lewis and Clark, and his student athletes, the way that they've responded in the first 2 years on the basketball floor, and then certainly hear all the accomplishments off. It's really a testament to how hard Coach McCrory and his entire coaching staff work to shape the lives of the student athletes who choose to compete for Lewis and Clark. And we're certainly grateful to have him on campus. I always look forward to our conversation on this show. One more show coming up live this week. We'll talk to Noah from track and field. We'll talk to Margot next week as well. Still finishing our lineup for the upcoming 5 shows total, but we will update all of the guests that are ahead on lcpioneers.com live. On Facebook Live, you can find that easily by going to lcpioneers.com/live. And the Ray Warren Symposium is continuing. We watched the first keynote speaker yesterday on the virtual Ray Warren Symposium, the 17th annual symposium. But we had a chance to talk to 2 of the co-chairs on the show last Friday. And I bring that up because it is available to watch on YouTube, as I've mentioned, on demand. But also Dalen Floyd of men's basketball, one of the organizers of the virtual art exhibit that is going on as part of the Ray Warren Symposium. So be sure to go to lclark.edu and then search for Ray Warren Symposium, and you'll find the updated schedule. In fact, as soon as I sign off here, there's a 12 o'clock session that I'll be attending as part of the symposium. So I really need to not only have the opportunity to talk to the co-chairs on the show, but then to see student athlete involvement with that as well. So to everyone who was able to watch today, to Coach McCrory for joining us, I'm Ryan Goff. Thanks so much for having fun with us on another episode of lcpioneers.com live, and we will be back with you tomorrow, Friday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time on Facebook Live. Just type in lcpioneers.com/live, and then for the full playlist of our past shows, either go to our YouTube page, youtube.com/lcpios, or there is a link to it in the fan zone at lcpioneers.com. Till we see you again tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks so much.
I'm Casey Jones, and I teach a range of classes: general chemistry, organic chemistry, and also some advanced classes. And I have a research lab that currently I have 4 students working with me as part of the Rogers program. The summer experience is a way to get really deeply involved in the science that is here and be able to start to define what might be what you want to do next. So the brown bag gives our students a chance to explain their research and really show the context and the application of what they're doing to a very broad range of students and faculty.
It's interesting to be able to communicate to other scientists what your work is, and it forces you to learn how to talk about your subject so that not only experts in your field can understand it, but others can understand it as well, which I just believe is a good life skill.
To talk about your research in a way that anybody can understand it really is a valuable experience, and it's something that you don't get a lot of practice for except in these contexts. Because oftentimes you're giving a presentation to a classroom filled with people who know basically the same things that you do, but in a brown bag, you have to be able to explain and provide motivation for everything that you're working on and why it's important and why it's relevant to be studying.
Hi, I'm Nick Lombardi. Something I've learned at Winterim this year is how to communicate a vision.
My biggest takeaway from Winterim is probably the networking. Getting to talk to everybody, connect with people for the future is one of the most valuable things, and I did Winterim last year, came back for more this year.
I think a way in which my liberal arts education has really helped me and my group formulate our ideas is that concept of critical thinking and having many different backgrounds. Me being an econ major and my two group mates being chemistry majors, we really get that well-rounded background, well-rounded ideas.
I think overall it's absolutely worth doing. You find yourself not only being more prepared for, say, well, this next semester, on top of being more prepared for life in general.